Welcome, accounting program cream puffs, to Geek Salad's retro movie reviews from the Geek Salad podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And today we are talking about the 1982 cult classic, Walt Disney's Tron.
Which at the time didn't make a whole lot of money.
There is Tron has an interesting legacy, and not the 2010 sequel. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Tron is one of these movies that appealed to kids my age. I was 10 years old when Tron came out, and it really, really appealed to me. However, it didn't appeal to my adults, my parents, to bring me to see this movie. So I waited it was 4 years after the fact when I finally saw this movie on VHS, that we rented. How about you, Mike? What's your first memory of Tron?
We probably rented it on VHS.
Okay.
I mean, I was genuinely probably too young to remember.
Okay.
But I do remember that it is a movie that sticks out when you see it. It is. I mean, even today, it is a lot different than any movie than you've really ever seen.
There is really nothing like this movie. Before or really since. It's interesting too because Tron's overall legacy is there. This movie didn't do well in theaters. I don't know numbers wise how well it did on the home video circuit.
Well, a home video circuit, I don't know. I could tell you box office wise.
Yeah.
It made $33 million on a budget of $17 million. So,
is that worldwide?
Probably.
That ain't good. And I'm assuming that's all $1982 as well.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay. There's an interesting piece of trivia though about Tron that the movie actually budget-wise is in the black because the video game, the arcade game that came out was so successful.
Oh yeah.
And because it's all tied into that same license, that they essentially use the profits from the video game to bolster the movie. So the movie itself financially made money because of the video game.
That's your accountants for you.
Yep, exactly. Excuse me 1 second. I'm going to mute my microphone because I have to cough. So
Okay.
Talk about Tron for a second.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it was by far ahead of its time. Sorry, just seeing you cough was just very distracting. You still muted.
Sorry, I'm back.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was trying to talk about Tron. I was just seeing you cough your lungs out. He's de-rezzing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming you've played the arcade game, right?
Probably not the original.
God damn it, I love this arcade game. I really do.
Although back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they came out with a game called Tron 2.0.
Yeah.
It was it was supposed to be a sequel to it, and
TR2N?
Huh?
TR2N?
No. It was actually Tron 2.0.
All right.
And it was an FPS, actually. A first-person shooter, and
right.
I played the hell out of it. It was a fantastic game.
Oh, yeah. What's interesting about Tron as well, legacy-wise, is that, come 2021, 2022, there's going to be a roller coaster at the Magic Kingdom in Orlando for Tron.
Yeah.
I mean, it's essentially a transplant of the Japanese roller coaster they have in Tokyo.
Is it? No, it's Shanghai Disneyland.
Shanghai, sorry. Yes. But the ride experience is essentially going to be an open car roller coaster where you are on a cycle and you're strapped in, obviously, for safety reasons.
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to go through it. But it's covered very similar to Space Mountain, but there's going to be animations on the wall of the gaming grid and all that stuff, and you're going to see the light cycles speeding past you.
That is one thing about the original Tron movie is, watching it again on Blu-ray, because I got the 2-pack of Tron Legacy and Tron. Um, Even today, that light cycle scene is amazing looking.
It is. It's aged really, really well, especially because the graphics were cutting edge for even like video gaming at the time.
Hmm.
And I mean, fortunately, it's almost like classic games never went out of style.
Yeah.
So it really it holds up because we just have that place in our heart for it. It is funny also, when I was at the Magic Kingdom a few weeks ago, I got a text message from one of our hosts, Mike Cicerone.
Hmm.
And he's like, send me pictures of anything Tron. And I really, really tried to get that big pile of dirt right next to Space Mountain where they're putting the roller coaster. I'm like, here's your Tron roller coaster.
Oh, you mean cruel man.
Yeah, I'm a bastard. I really am. But this movie itself, of it this afternoon on my lunch break. And I had really forgotten how they just bring you right in to the computer story. And it doesn't waste a lot of time getting the motivations of certain characters down. You're aware of pretty much everything that's going on in the first half hour, and then you have to sort through it.
Yeah.
So like with the thing with like they go to the Flynn's arcade and the kid is playing the light cycle game, and he's actually playing against Sark, played by David Warner, who of course is a villain. And it's just really interesting. So after that game ends, then Sark you meet the MCP.
Or Moses.
Moses, yeah. Well, if you're a South Park fan, it's Moses. And you just learn essentially the whole thing about the religion of the users, and the programs who are kind of the atheists in this story. And it's really cool. And that the MCP within the first half hour, there's no like third act reveal that the MCP was trying to take over like all the Pentagon and Kremlin weapon systems.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that all this happens in the first act of the movie.
And then the second act is all about the resolution. And the second and third act are all about resolution.
Right. Almost literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because Jeff Bridges is such an interesting choice. It's almost like if this movie had been made earlier, it would have been Kurt Russell. Now, I have no proof that Kurt Russell was ever in consideration for this, but because he did all those early Disney movies in like the late 60s.
I don't know. Kurt Russell, I think, would have been a much more proactive protagonist of this movie. Jeff Bridges is he plays this role very strangely. It's almost like, he knows where he is, but it never really. You never have like this big realization, like, oh my god, I'm in a computer, and like, nah, you just kind of like, whoa, cool.
It's one of those things that's a little too wacky that it can't be real.
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges is absolutely game for this, though. He's kind of that lovable doofus who happens to be a genius, and you learn that very, very early on. But when they're sneaking into the lab and he's trying to get the information about his copyrights to the games, he's very, very playful, and he's a lot of fun. He could also probably be a pain in the ass too.
Oh yeah, you definitely get that feeling that he is both a pain in the ass and a really fun guy to hang out with.
He's a fun guy to hang out and stay with him.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, because the special effects when Flynn is beamed into the computer they're interesting because it's a very interesting take on the black and white. It's really like almost a monochrome black and white with color insert.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beautiful. The neons that they use are really gorgeous. The costumes are really cool, which is interesting because if you really look closely at them, it's just a lot of foam rubber.
Yeah, foam rubber. It looks like they made some out of like egg cartons.
Yeah, the warrior, one of the warrior costumes. I distinctly remember this. Going to the Boston Museum of Science. It's like 30 years ago,
Hmm.
and pieces on the shoulder pontoons.
Yeah, it the the way they do the lighting in the computer world is so amazing that it really diverts your eyes away from looking too much at the costume, but at the same time, it forces you to look at the costume in such a way that you don't notice the weird things.
Right.
It's a very interesting way.
It's Steve Leisberger, who shamefully has not done a lot of movies.
Mm.
He really did a good job just making that whole thing. This entire movie tricks your eyes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The entire time, it tricks your eyes.
The visuals and the cinematography, it's just, this is a beautiful movie that looks like it was done on a shoestring budget in some aspects, but the way it's shot makes that shoestring a lot bigger than it actually probably was.
I think Disney was very hesitant to dump a lot of money into this movie, only because The Black Hole had come out like 3 years before, and it was an abject failure.
It came out in 79, really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I thought it was mid 80s.
No. Well, Black Hole is much earlier.
Wow.
It kind of came out on top of Star Wars craze. So they probably dumped a ton of money into it.
Mm.
Make the robots funny.
Make that one look like R2D2.
The Black Hole has, but it's not to the level that Tron has in terms of people don't still reference it the same way that we do Tron.
Yeah.
Even in pop culture, you mentioned South Park not too long ago. That was their Moses. The MCP is Moses.
Yeah. Let all my people go.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just, I thought it was gonna be a better voice to do this tonight, and I'm just failing horribly. So, I'm gonna go get myself something to drink. That usually, liquor always helps. So, talk. I'm just going to excuse myself for one moment.
All right. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, the thing about, Jeff Bridges is the quote unquote main character, but he's not the hero of the movie, which is a very unique take. I mean, the hero of the movie is Tron, which is the enforcer program, the kind of the watchdog program created by Bruce Boxleitner's character, and plays a dual role of Bruce Boxleitner plays both the character, the human, and Tron, and you've got this relationship between her and Tron, and do you remember what was the
old guy?
No, the female.
I'll look it up real quick. It was Lacey Underall from Caddyshack.
Yeah.
Cindy Morgan, Laura.
Yes. And she also plays Yori, the input-output program.
Yep.
And yeah, I just like I was saying, it's a very interesting take to have Jeff Bridges as the main character, but not have him as the hero of the movie.
Right, exactly. He's very much a supporting character in the actual overall action of this movie.
Yeah, he's not like the knight of the quest. He's the sidekick, but he's still the main character.
Exactly. He's the squire. And then that always confused me too, because the toys, there were two male, there was Tron. So I naturally got Tron because he is hero of the movie. Flynn is the hero of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's just, it confused me a little bit. Because it is an interesting dynamic and not one that you really see a lot. You definitely didn't see it a lot back then, especially with something as safe as a Disney movie.
Hold on, sorry. Your voice is about like a like 2 seconds after your
Oh, really?
video. Oh wait, now it's back in
All
6.
right, it's better now. Okay. I'll just reiterate. It was odd at that time, especially for something that type of dynamic.
Yeah. But that being said, Bruce Boxleitner is a much more heroic character. I mean, just a heroic figure than Jeff Bridges is, for the most part.
Exactly, which is really interesting too, because Alan, his human doppelganger, his programmer, his god, is very much, he's kind of a milquetoast throughout the entire movie. It's usually Laura that's moving the action along.
Yeah, I guess like it's weird because in the human world, I would say Jeff Bridges is more of the hero character.
Right.
But once they get into the computer world, then Bruce Boxleitner is the more hero character.
Exactly. Another interesting thing too, and this was a thought I had while I was watching it today, that every program has their programmer's identity pretty much. So you got to wonder what that wormy guy at the beginning of the movie who asked for some of Alan's popcorn was programming.
Yeah, he was just an accountant programmer, wasn't he?
No, that was the programming was Crom.
Yes.
The guy that Flynn had to fight for the first thing with the discs.
Yeah.
Finish him. No! That
guy. Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about things that kind of annoyed me, bit.
Yes.
I mean, I guess it was supposed to be comic relief. No. Yes.
I mean, again, you're dealing with the Disney movie, so you've got to have your animal sidekick.
That's fair.
Yeah. But it didn't annoy me as much. You know what did annoy me at the very beginning was when Jeff Bridges was also playing Clue.
Yeah.
And Clue's voice, like the characteristics of Clue's voice, change at least 3 times before he's de-resed.
Yeah.
Because at first they're showing him, and he's talking like this, and then he talks a little normal, and then before Flanders scream.
Yeah, I think they just they hadn't. If I had to guess, I would say that was probably one of the earlier things that they filmed. Honestly, they probably filmed that as the test footage just to get the movie greenlit.
Perhaps.
And or something. I would love to. I really need to watch them behind the scenes for this movie because I bet they're fantastic.
Yeah. Actually, because I don't own the Blu-ray for this. I own the DVD, but it was like a double disc DVD back when Disney used to make those things that don't fit well.
Yeah.
All your other stuff. And there was some really interesting behind-the-scenes footage on this. There's not a lot, strangely. The interesting thing about this movie was it was disqualified from competition at the Academy Awards for Best Special Effects because they felt that the computer-animated effects were cheating.
Oh, how times have changed.
Yeah. Another thing, too, which is interesting, and that's something I was planning on talking about, now it's a good time as any, is the music to this movie.
The music is absolutely what you would expect it to sound like.
It's a fully electronic score by Wendy Carlos, who actually did the symphonic Beethoven score for Clockwork Orange and also did the music for The Shining.
Wow. So Kubrick approved.
Yeah, she is Kubrick approved. Interesting, too. She's actually, I think, the first trans composer.
Really?
To work these big budget movies, yes. And she has a very interesting sound. Now, unfortunately, she hasn't done much since. I know she's still alive. But this score is just it's a beautiful score. That especially in a lot of the chase sequences.
Yeah.
I mean, the action in this movie is really stilted. It's the chase sequences that work the best. Like you mentioned, the light cycle sequence. The one where Flynn at the very beginning is trying to get away from the other two. I mean, there was some really good stuff with that.
Oh yeah.
And then when they're trying to escape the recognizers, it's some really nice stuff.
And then when they're in the recognizer, the broken down recognizer, getting it. I mean, they're basically like very awesome action sequences, followed by some more character driven moments. And I think those are the moments that they're interesting, but they don't quite keep people around, basically.
Yeah, there's the I'm trying to remember the name. Is it Ram? Ram was the third guy, I believe.
Oh yeah.
I'm pulling it up right now. I'm fairly certain it's Ram. Yeah, Ram.
Yeah.
When Ram dies, really are the king of kings moment with when he dies in Flynn's arms before he comes to before he dereses.
Yeah.
And there are some interesting pieces too, like where they're drinking up the power. It's just kind of it's cute, silly.
Yeah, it makes them glow brighter.
Right.
I mean, the solar sail part is really, really cool.
It's beautiful. However, it's also intercut with the bugs.
Yeah,
which look like Disney animation. It looks like Disney 2D animation.
Yeah, the bugs. I think they would have needed at least another 6 months to get the bugs just right, and they just didn't have it.
No, I know. This. You want? I'm bringing out a real piece of odd trivia that I never noticed before until I watched this movie. This was first time I watched this movie in a long time. And these from the American credits to the Japanese credits because there was a huge Japanese contingency working on the tech on this film.
Not surprised.
And it just switches to vertical lines of Japanese characters.
Oh. Oh, okay.
I've never seen that in an American production before.
Nah. I mean, cool.
You got the Blu-ray. You can just switch over to the credits and check that out. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
This isn't. I would never go so far as to call this a perfect movie. I really adore this movie.
Yes.
More for the nostalgia aspect than anything else.
I adore it for the nostalgia aspect, but I do think that it is still a very solid movie.
I think it is absolutely a solid. This isn't a perfect movie. It is a solid movie that, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the show, really hasn't been replicated. No. I mean, there have been movies about, going into computers, and there's been movies to explore the sentient side of tech, but nothing like this.
No.
It's hard to describe what this is.
I think just the setting combined with the just never before seen visual style. I mean, Tron Legacy was probably the best at replicating the visual style, but even so, I think they tried to go too big with it. And Tron, oddly enough, Tron is a very small movie.
It is. I agree with you fully. I believe that Tron Legacy really tries to overcompensate.
Don't get me wrong. I like Tron Legacy. I know you're ambivalent about it.
I liked Tron Legacy. It's a solid B- movie. It just you couldn't bring the 10-year-old out in me.
Yeah.
Watching that movie. Whereas with Tron, again, it was 4 years after its release when I finally saw it. I was, 14 years old. A lot had changed, but I do remember being a 10-year-old kid and playing with the action figures and playing the arcade game, which I just love so much. And if you have a MAME emulator, download it.
And also, if you have an account on GOG.com, I believe Tron 2.0 is there. It is an excellent FPS. It does have all the sounds of Tron. When you walk and you hear that dun 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 dun. Very cool. It's very cool, but it
What you
doesn't
what
work so great on newer systems though.
Okay. One thing I noticed on watching it today, because I had headphones on.
Mhm.
Well, I don't think I've ever watched this movie with headphones on, so I didn't get a full. The sound in this movie is really interesting because the way that the programs move,
Mm.
there are sounds for every movement that they make, kind of similar to like C-3PO. When you hear C-3PO move, you can hear the gears and servos moving in his system.
Yeah.
The program is very much the same thing. So if you can get this digitally and watch it, put some headphones on. It's an interesting take.
I would say probably the weakest part of this was the third act.
Yep, you're froze up, Mike. What was the
Uh,
weakest part?
the third act. The
Yeah.
final battle against the giant Sark. Sure.
Yeah, you're right. That was kind of dumb.
And then
Bernard Hughes's character was, oh god, it was just like, okay, this is all the foam rubber we have. Just my 10-year-old's gonna make something for you, okay? I'm wearing a pointy hat.
And then it's all solved by Jeff Bridges jumping into the MCP, and that solves everything somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, they established that he can channel energy, but I mean, I guess there's some logic in the solution. It's just it does what it needs to get it done. Whatever.
Exactly, and it's not like a tidy resolution you can come up with. It's just interesting when you think of computers now and how a Tron program is absolutely necessary in terms of overall securing your system.
Yeah.
You know, whereas you've got the master control system, which essentially it's kind of like Skynet. In a way, it came out 2 years before Skynet.
Hmm.
Which also means that James Cameron fucking stole from this movie too.
It's easy to think of some movies that James Cameron hasn't stolen from at this point.
We spent far less time discussing the movies he hasn't stolen from. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
speaking of which, when are we going to talk about Fern Gully?
We're never talking about Fern Gully, ever.
I like Fern Gully.
And this is a fine movie. I really do enjoy this movie. Moreover, for its legacy than anything else, I think.
I think honestly, I mean, even like I honestly, has Scarlett ever seen this movie?
Yes, she did. She saw it about 2 years ago, and she actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean that's. I would say if you've never seen this movie before, even if you were born after the movie came out, give it a check. I mean, especially with Disney Plus coming out, I'm sure it'll be on there.
It will. I'm hoping it will be on there on launch day.
Mm.
I honestly would be shocked if it wasn't.
Yeah, because it's not. It's never been like their top tier movie.
Freezing up.
Oh, sorry. It's never been like their top tier movie, but it is. I want to say it is. It has become a. I'm not sure how to describe it.
All right, let me put it this way: if the timing, if the stars had aligned for this to come out in an era of the first three Pirates of the Caribbean, this would have been an enormous hit.
Yes.
It really is just that the stars were not aligned for this movie to be a hit. If you look at the year 1982 and look how many cult classics came out that year that were actual box office failures. This, Blade Runner, other things.
Let me pull up some movies from 1982.
Yeah, I mean the top rated movies of 1982. You're going to notice a lot of box office failures on there. The Thing I don't think was actually a big box office hit either, and that's actually, I mean, that's personally my favorite Carpenter Russell collaboration.
Well, I mean, number one film was E.T. It was E.T., Poltergeist.
Yep.
Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Yeah, there are a lot of. The Dark Crystal came out in '82.
Dark Crystal was also a box office failure.
Yeah, and hey, it's getting a Netflix prequel.
Yeah, exactly. So never underestimate the power of nostalgia. Our generation is finally in charge of shit.
Yeah, about freaking time.
Exactly. Any final thoughts, Mike, on Tron?
Nah, I mean, again, like I said before, if you've never seen Tron, give it a watch. You may think, oh, it's 1982 computers, whatever, cheesy. Just look at it try it as an unbiased an eye as you can. It is a remarkably interesting movie, and it looks amazing.
Right. Especially if you're younger, if you're in your late 20s, early 30s, and you don't, let's put it this way, if you don't know life before the internet, definitely give this movie a whirl and put yourself in my shoes or put yourself in Mike's shoes back when computers used to still fill rooms. And there were very few personal computers.
Oh yeah, I mean, just take a look at the building that Jeff Bridges breaks into in the beginning.
Oh, that
And
door.
all of that computer in there, that was
Yeah.
the size of a big computer at that time.
That was the warehouse computer, exactly. They were beyond reel to reel. Actually, the first personal computers were just starting to come out.
Yeah.
So definitely give this one a try. Now, if you're a fan of the movie Tron and you feel like Mike and I missed something, please leave a comment below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Geek Salad here at YouTube. Every week we have new and interesting things to talk about, right?
Yep. And don't forget to be civil in your comments.
Please. Also, Mike and I host a little podcast called Geek Salad. We are available at geeksalad.podbean.com. You can get us either there on the Podbean app, at Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, or Google Music. Our audio for the podcast also shows up right here on our YouTube channel. So subscribe to one of those anywhere. Please leave a comment. I'm noticing comments are huge. 5-star reviews are always appreciated. And you can also follow us on Twitter at Geek Salad Radio. You can get us on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast and email us at geeksaladradio@gmail.com. So, Mike, anything else you got to say?
Nope.
All right.
Live long and prosper programs.
Quiet you. So until next time, I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful. We'll talk to you later.